I headed over to the Home Depot to pick up a couple of towel rings and a canvas drop cloth. Then I ran into Walmart to pick up some no-sew hem tape. Grab your canvas drop cloth and fold it evenly in half lengthwise. Cut along the fold with sharp fabric scissors. To clean up the raw edge, you're going to use your no-sew hem tape and an iron. I recommend folding over the raw edge about an inch or so and pressing the fold with your iron first. This will hide any frayed material on your fabric. It's also a great time to iron out any of the wrinkles on the panels themselves. It's time to install your towel ring to the wall. Follow the instructions that come along with your towel ring. Now that it's installed, I carefully folded my curtain like a fan or an accordion to give it some style. Voila! A simple and elegant way to accentuate any window in your home.
I grabbed this towel rod for the best kitchen hack. I used a stud finder to locate the studs. I wanted to drill at least one end of the towel rack into the studs. I put one end of the towel rack on, placed the level on top, and marked where the other side of the towel rack needed to be so that the rod would be level. For this side, I used drywall anchors to ensure a strong hold. Then I grabbed some black shower curtain rings, placed them on the towel rack, and hung my favorite cutting boards and frying pan. Now I have modern kitchen decor that was so quick and easy. I hope this inspired you to create your kitchen hanging rod. Thanks for watching Home Talk, and see you next time.
Grab a gold curtain rod to make this trendy wall decor for a fraction of the cost. I printed some free vintage landscape prints online and placed them into thrifted picture frames. I used pliers to shape wire into S hooks. I recruited the tallest person in my home to hang the curtain rod. I'd recommend using drywall anchors or securing it into studs to make it more secure. Once the towel rod was level, I placed a hook with gold chain on it. I added 2 more hooks with chain at slightly different lengths. I attached my vintage prints at varying heights to the chain using hot glue. Now I have a super trendy chain picture hanger for a lot less. I hope this inspired you to create your hanging picture frame decor with a curtain rod.
This stationary door that goes out to my patio, and I wanted to do something different with it, so I ran down to the hardware store and picked up some 24-inch long pieces of wood. I measured and marked the wood 1 inch from the end and 1 inch from the side. I knew that my rope was 1/4 inch thick, so I made 5/8 inch large holes so that the rope would slide through easily. Once I had those ready, I went ahead and slid my rope in and tied a knot at the bottom to make sure that the wood would stay securely on top of the knot. It did. I needed my plant shelves to be even on both sides of the rope, so I made a 20-inch measurement and marked it. I knew that that's where I was going to make my next knot and add my next piece of wood. I repeated that process until I had 5 shelves in place. I then secured the rope on the curtain rod that I already had on the door. This allowed me to hold it in place while I worked on the other side, trying to make sure to keep everything even. I made sure everything was straight, and then I started to work my way down using the leftover rope. I worked my way down through the wood and tied a knot so that I could additionally secure it. Once I had everything in place, it was hanging really nicely, but I did notice that some of my plant shelves were not perfectly level. The good thing about this rope is that it was very easy for me to loosen the knot and move it and adjust it so that it could be perfectly in the place where I needed it. Once that was done, I set my plants in place and enjoyed my new floating planter shelves. This project would work great on a window. It doesn't have to be on a door. And it would also look great if you finish out the wood with any paint or stain or decor of your choice. I love the way the light still comes into the room, but I get to highlight some beautiful plants for springtime. I hope this inspires you to create some floating plant shelves of your own.
me show you how I turned a couple glass bowls into these Pottery Barn dupes.
Put 1 coat of spray paint and primer on the bowls. With the Rub and Buff, I was able to put on 1 layer and achieve the aged look that I wanted. Turn it over and then paint the bottom, the other side of your bowls. I cut the ring off the pacifier and snapped a small piece of the shower curtain ring off and glued them. Here I used wax cubes, melted them down, and then you pour that into the bowl. For your wicks, you can get a kit off of Amazon and use the popsicle sticks with the hole to help make sure that your wicks stand up straight. And there you have it. Light and enjoy.
Separate the layers of a patterned paper napkin. Then cut the napkin to fit the diameter of your candle and gently press against the iron plate. Keep rolling until the candle is completely wrapped in the napkin. Fill a heat-safe container with hot water. Place a taper candle in the hot water and let sit for 10 minutes. And then wrap the candle in some wax paper and press down on the middle of the candle and gently twist it into the shape that you want. Take painter's tape and tape off sections or stripes on a taper candle. Paint light coats of acrylic paint in the open sections of the candle. Let dry completely. I hope this inspired you to have some fun sprucing up ordinary taper candles.
We're going to start this project with a clay flower pot, and I'm going to be painting my planter entirely with black paint. I'm going to be using some antique gold Rub and Buff, give it kind of an antique patina look, and I'm going to be painting the dowel all the way black. Cut down my dowel, sanding down the edge, and I'm taking some twine and my hot glue gun to attach the twine to either side. I'm taking a piece of cardboard and I'm cutting it down into different strips. I'm going to be painting it black. Rub and Buff again, and I'm threading my twine through the hole at the bottom of the flower pot, adhering it to the cardboard piece. I am taking some rope and I'm tying a knot. I hope this inspired you to try this Pottery Barn dupe for their bell wall decor.
You want to open the tea light package and remove your tea lights. Pull gently on the wick. Place as many tea lights as you think you need in the saucepan and bring the water to a boil. Pour enough wax on the parchment paper to surround your cookie cutter, and then set your cookie cutter on the wax and press down. Fill in the cookie cutters almost to the very top. Now the wicks on the Dollar Tree tea lights are really short, so I waited to add them to the top layer of the wax. I added the faux snow to the melted wax and poured that onto the very top layer. You can pop off the excess wax. Place my cookie cutters on a Pyrex pie plate. I took a length of garland and made it into a wreath shape and set it inside the tray. What a pretty little display.
All right, so we're gonna start with a vase from Dollar Tree. Go ahead and cover this entire thing with this frosted glass spray paint. We are going to be using a pail and we are going to be hot gluing this on top.
So now we're going to start with some ribbon. Now you want to make sure that you get the hot glue all the way around and then slowly secure the ribbon. And I've come down to using 2 of these leaves, and then I'm probably going to be using some of the decorative berries. And once I've poured the whole bag of the rocks into the vase, detach the solar light top from the base, and we are going to be placing this in the center of the vase. It's a beautiful, cute, decorative solar lantern that I'm really excited is living out on my screened-in porch now.
Take each embroidery hoop and screw the screws tight, then paint them brown. You're going to take some grapevine, you're going to attach it with some brown pipe cleaners, some pine cones, attach them with hot glue. So I selected some ornaments and start gluing those on near the pine cones. Add a couple of pheasant feathers. Put 3 command hooks, and I hung my 3 wreaths.
Let's gather some oranges out of the refrigerator. We're first going to cut some short pieces of rosemary, and we're going to attach them to the cone with our U-shaped floral pins. Now we're going to place longer pieces of rosemary all around the bottom part of the tree. Now that our tree is totally covered in rosemary, it's time to add our little cuties. I'm using basic toothpicks from the kitchen cupboard, and I'm putting the pointy end into the tree. I've started with a clear vase,
and I'm going to place about 12 to 15 little cuties inside the vase. I then am going to fill the vase with water. I always start with a base of greenery, then I'm going to add some variegated boxwood. Lastly, we're going to add our flowers. For our last project, I took oranges and dried them in a dehydrator. I'm just going to use a hot glue gun, glue the cinnamon stick to the middle of the dried grapefruit slice, add a piece of rosemary, and maybe a little bit of star anise. I then take a wire, put it through the rind of the citrus, and twist it. Now it's time to attach these to the wreath. And there you have 3 great projects you can create out of fresh citrus.
To begin my project, I started with some mini terracotta pots and I began painting them with Decor's craft acrylic paint in the shade white. I wanted to paint the outside as well as the inside and the bottom of the pots. I came in with some Country Chic paint metallic ink accent cream in the shade Pocket Watch, and I rubbed it all over the outside surfaces of the bells. And then you can wipe it away with just a clean piece of paper towel. Once that was dry, I came in with some sandpaper and I just sanded off the edges a little bit. Next, I took some canvas cotton cord and I cut off 3 pieces, pulled them around in a loop and tied a knot, and I braided it down, and I finished the end of the braid off with a knot. I added some crochet ribbon around the bottom of the bell, and then I hot glued in some embellishments. Once this was complete, I added them to my cotton string. Add some jingle bells by knotting them onto the string. When complete, I hung them here in my home, and I love how easy these bells were to make.
Take any glass vase or jar container that you have and layer the bottom with a couple of inches of greenery. Angle the ends of the greenery toward the outside of the glass. Pull a couple of long lengths of plastic wrap and start crumpling it into a bunch. The third layer consists of fresh cranberries. Just pile them on top of that plastic wrap layer. Take a pitcher of water and pour over the top of all the layers. If you like, you can add a tea light to the top of the layers or add additional greenery over the top layer of cranberries. This is a perfect holiday display centerpiece for anywhere in your home.
So we're gonna start with the folded side down, and I'm going to do 1 hot glue line across the base, and then I'm gonna go across in like a really thin zigzag formation towards the opening. We're gonna take our next bag, we are going to lay it right on top. So we're gonna continue doing this until all 7 layers have been secured, cutting a V formation, so starting at the center and going outward. So we're just gonna make 2 little triangles, and you can make this as big or as small as you'd like. So now that these cuts have been made, we are gonna fan this out and we are gonna join the 2 ends together. See how pretty this is?
And there you have it. Here is my finished product of my rustic paper bag snowflakes.
Grab some fabric softener and your favorite color of latex paint. Next, take some poster board and measure and cut out squares to create a checkerboard pattern on your rug. My rug is a runner. Lay the poster board squares on the rug in a checkerboard pattern so you can make sure that all the squares fit. Don't skip this step. Mix together 1 part latex paint to 1 part clear fabric softener and stir completely. You will notice that the mixture thickens quite a bit. Add just a little bit of tap water to thin that out. Holding the poster board squares down with 1 hand, start to paint in the open areas between the squares. Then, while holding the square with 1 hand, lightly stipple the paint or dab up and down to establish the lines of each square. It's a good idea to paint all the squares lightly and then go back and fill in with more paint. Continue to add paint to each square until you get the color density that you want. Keep in mind throughout this project that jute rugs are irregular, and so your squares will have some irregularity as well. This is actually the beauty of this type of rug. This rug can be used in so many places in your home. Use in a hallway, a mudroom, or even in front of your kitchen cooktop. I hope this inspired you to put on your painter's cap and create your own checkerboard jute rug.
I found this 6 by 8 foot rug at Home Depot for only $20. First, lay the rug out flat. Make a border with a painter's tape. Using the measuring tape, measure out the thickness of the border and put down another line of tape. Cut the drop cloth in a few pieces and line the edge of your tape. Spray straight down in short bursts while painting the middle area and angle towards the middle slightly as you spray along the edges. Remove the tape and allow to dry. Find the middle of your rug with a measuring tape and mark it with a piece of painter's tape. Spray the back of the stencil with the adhesive. Allow to dry for 3 to 5 minutes so it sets for a temporary bond and not a permanent one. Place the stencil in the middle and press down. Surround the stencil with a drop cloth and spray straight down in short bursts. As soon as you finish painting in this spot, remove the stencil and reposition in a corner. Surround with a drop cloth and spray again. Respray with the adhesive, allow to set, and position the new stencil where desired. I'm creating one more even smaller stencil for the last round of painting. Continue repositioning and painting until you have your desired look.
I found this TV table that's kind of in rough shape. I need to clean it up and sand down any of these rough edges and get a little bit of the shine off there so I can paint it. I'm also using this kind of outdated nightstand. I'm just going to use one of the drawers. I'll first need to take off the handle and the metal hardware on the side. I'm going to clean it up and get any of the residue off of it, sand it down a little bit, and get it ready for paint. I'm painting the folding table a soft gray with a matte finish. This is going to take a couple coats, so I'm just going to do a light coat for now, and then I'll come back and do another light coat. I'm giving the handle, which is kind of this mixture of wood and metal, a nice coat of a metallic bronze color. For the drawer, I am adding a white chalk paint. Because I am adding a light color over a dark color, this is going to take a couple of coats. Again, just using a really light coat, letting it dry for about 20 minutes, and then coming back and adding more coats until I have the coverage that I want. This is going to be an indoor plant stand for me, so there's no need to seal or protect any of these painted pieces. So I'm going to place the drawer right on top of the folding TV stand, and I do need to secure it. This drawer actually slips really nicely right on top of that top of the TV stand, so I'm just going to use some wood glue to adhere it. If you're making one of these at home, you may want to add some screws in depending on how the drawer fits on top of the stand. Now it is ready for plants. So the first thing I'm going to do here is take a thick plastic bag and I'm going to cut it down to size. This is going to line the bottom of the drawer. I want to be able to water my plants, and if any of that water comes out the bottom, it's not going to damage the wood in the drawer. And then the nice metallic hardware adds back on with just the 2 screws. Now it's time to add some plants. This is the fun part. I've gathered up a number of plants from around my house that are going to look really good together. This is a pretty deep drawer, and so I'm using some pieces that'll add some height. So I can put some larger plants in the back and some smaller ones in the front. That was a really simple and straightforward project, making a plant stand out of some thrifted furniture. I hope this inspired you to make one for your home.
Grab an old drawer and let's get started. Start by cutting 4 spindles to the size you want for the center legs. Make sure to save the pieces you cut off. Next, attach the spindles using a brad nailer to each corner of the bottom of the drawer. Then, cut a piece of wood the same dimension as the drawer. Lay it on top of the spindles and measure to make sure each spindle is attached in the same way all the way around. Attach using the brad nailer. Next, measure and mark and attach the feet using the pieces of the spindles you cut off previously. Attach these at a diagonal all the way around each foot using the brad nailer. After that, mark the center of each foot and attach a wheel. Then remove the hardware from the drawer. Next, clean it with TSP. Then sand all of it smooth, rubbing off the dust with a cloth. After that, prime and paint a color of your choosing. You can also do this step before assembly depending on preference. Reattach the hardware and that's it! This adorable little bar card is such a perfect accent to any room. It can be totally customized to fit any space.
I visited our local Habitat for Humanity restore, where I found mismatched drawers and doors. Your first step is to remove all the hardware. Next, fill in the holes with wood putty. After that, give the whole drawer a good sanding. Now measure the insides of the drawer so you know how wide to cut your shelves. After your shelves are cut, Drill pocket holes on the undersides of the shelves. Attach the shelves with pocket holes on the bottom. I also picked up some furniture feet from the hardware store. Screw the plates into the bottom of the drawer and then insert the feet. After the feet are attached, it's time for paint. Use the color of choice here. You could really get creative depending on your home style. This shelf worked perfectly to store craft supplies in my office, and it also looked great as a side table in the living room.
So once we removed our knobs, I'm just gonna mark up where I'm gonna make my cut. What I'm using here is just some decoupage. So I did one thin layer there, and then I'm gonna place my paper down. Another layer of decoupage over top of our paper. And you just wanna smooth out any air bubbles. So the next thing we're gonna do is I have this other pattern. So same thing, these are gonna go on either side. We're just gonna put down our layer of decoupage here. I can bring up my paper here, line it up, and then use the decoupage to smooth out that wrinkle. And so we're gonna go ahead and do the other side here. So I have a little bit of antiquing wax, and I get some on my cloth. Rub it on the surface where I want to apply it. Take a different area of the cloth, and then I'm going to just rub it in. I'm going to take a piece of sandpaper, and you can add as many layers of wax as you want. So I'm actually going to add just a little bit of antiquing wax to these knobs as well. My knobs back on. So I have these old table leg feet. What I've done is I've just taken a drill, and I have just pre-drilled 4 holes in the corners so that I could slide the bolt of the leg through. And then we're gonna flip our drawer over. Then to secure them, you just use either some bolts, or I have the actual pieces that came with these feet. All you have to do is style it the way you want. So you can put pillows, throws, whatever you like. Feel free to really get creative with this project and make it your own.
The dollar store has so many great items that you can bring home to have a plastic-free or less plastic in your kitchen. These wooden utensils are great. These glass jars are awesome and great for storage. These reusable soap holders are good, so let's bring one home. And of course, these all-natural sponges are definitely the best, so grab some. Now that you have some of your items home, let's go through some things. These plastic utensils can really wear out quickly. This plastic utensil, or this plastic spatula, as you can see at the end, actually ended up getting melted. And now you have all these little tiny pieces that are actually going to go and come off when you go and use this in your pots or your pans when you're cooking. So let's go and get rid of this. And instead, switching to bamboo or switching to something that is going to be a little bit more sustainable for yourself and your kitchen, that is a wood utensil instead, is a better idea because this will not leave little tiny pieces of plastic in your food. On to the next. I've had this plastic soap container for a very long time, but it's time to finally get rid of it. So this ceramic container instead, of course, you still have a little bit of plastic that is on here. It's something that you can't fully and totally avoid, at least for a soap pump. So we're just going to go and take this little tiny clip off of this piece here, and believe me, in the long run, this is going to go and save you a lot of hassle, and also it's just going to be cleaner as well. These plastic containers can sometimes get really gross on the outer edges, and can just kind of have a lot of bacteria on them. So pouring this into the ceramic container, screwing on the top, and now you can go and have this in your kitchen and continue to refill it. Sponges. Now sponges like this, you can go and purchase at the dollar store as well, but these actually are usually made of plastic. And when you use these over time, they start to break down and you have all these little fuzzy pieces that when you're scrubbing your pots and pans will actually get into your food. You can see here, because this is a little bit of an older sponge, this is about a month old for the sponge, which it has been cleaned before, it breaks down. So this all-natural sponge instead, which you want to replace every 30 to about 40 days, you can cut into 4 sections. These are pretty big, and you can go and get these at the dollar store. These also, too, cut up, will be 4 separate sponges that have actually a little tiny point to them, which are so incredibly useful for getting into some of the nooks and crannies on certain things that you wouldn't be able to get really with another sponge, and it washes pretty much exactly the same as a plastic-based sponge would. So you see here, it's not going to peel as much, but of course this is natural, and it will break down over time. Now, rinsing out the sink. They do actually have these over at the dollar store. And if you have a plastic food catch that's in your sink, get rid of it. Those things can smell so bad and collect a bunch of bacteria. And these metal mesh ones collect a lot more food. Now, you want to go and of course rinse out your rice before you go and cook it. Plastic strainers, from what I've noticed, usually the holes are a lot bigger on them in comparison to mesh ones, and you can go and get these mesh ones over at the dollar store as well. There is a very small amount of plastic on it, which of course you can't always avoid with things that are in your kitchen, but it's always great to start to reduce the amount of plastic that is in your kitchen, and these honestly just last so much longer than the plastic ones. Now on to going and storing the rest of the rice. So these glass containers you can get at the dollar store, so let's get this sponge, put a little bit of soap onto there, and let's go and wash this out. These are so easy to go and use. The only thing is there is a small rubber little piece that is on the top, which does create an airtight seal, which is very good for any food that you want to put in here. But again, it's a little bit of plastic on certain things. Then you can go and store whatever it is you want to go and store. Now we're going to make a cup of coffee. Yes, you can go and purchase reusable K-cups or reusable cups. These are so much better than your one singular use K-cup. You just refill them, and then what you can do is put it into your coffee maker, and these can be used hundreds of times in comparison to only one time. And yes, these are plastic, but these are so much better for the environment because you can use these a bunch of times.
And that is some really good coffee. Having a plastic-free kitchen can be so incredibly hard, so it is important for any sort of materials that are left over like this, that what you can do is just put it into a bag, let this fill up, and actually go and drop this off at most grocery stores. They will have a receptacle that you can put this into, and you can recycle them. Thank you all so much for watching. There are more tips and tricks for having a plastic-free kitchen over on Home Talk. Take care, and have a great one.